The Afghan National Army's 350,000 troops are training hard to be ready for the end of 2014. That's when they'll take over responsibility for the country's security as NATO forces leave the country. And though many in the international community remain optimistic, some analysts say local soldiers will struggle to cope with the ongoing Taliban insurgency. The Islamic fundamentalists have just declared the start of their spring offensive, promising violent attacks nationwide on Afghans and foreigners alike. It's places like the sparsely populated outskirts of Kabul where authorities fear hostile activity and insurgent infiltration. Afghan soldiers conduct routine patrols in the area, searching houses, setting up roadblocks, and questioning members of local nomadic tribes. Spin Gul, who lives nearby in a tent, says no one can ensure security in Afghanistan except for the National Army. But critics point to a rising number of casualties among Afghan forces as a sign that the country is not ready to maintain security on its own. Corruption, a lack of the needed equipment, and poor management within the government are all blamed for the continued reliance on international assistance to maintain law and order. However, in Kabul, at the headquarters of the International Security Assistance Force, the mood is more upbeat.
The Afghan National Security Forces become stronger, they become more capable, and they are exceeding our expectations. And one typical example is that in the past they were heavily relying on support by ISAF when they conducted the fighting. But what we see today is that they work more and more independently and that they are able to plan, lead and conduct 80% of all the operations here in Afghanistan already by themselves.
Afghan troops may have improved in the more than a decade since US and NATO soldiers entered the country, but it remains far from clear that by the end of next year, they will have the necessary skills to contain the ongoing Taliban insurgency. George W. Bush's administration called its campaign in Afghanistan Operation Enduring Freedom. But has freedom really come to the country? And if it has it come for good? When Afghan forces assume responsibility for security at the end of 2014, the world will be watching to see if Afghanistan can stand on its own 2 feet.